special Christmas episode of Guard Frequency. We're not even going to give it a number because I told you guys it would be the last episode of the year on 242. Hashtag Tony was wrong because the roadmap for Squadron 42 that we were going to get on this Thursday turned out to be just a little bit more than just a roadmap. It answered some questions and generated some additional questions regarding the it wasn't a rant. It was a rant. No, it was a rant. Total rant on the last episode regarding CIG's financial filings. A special treat this evening with me for the first time. We haven't talked in 2 years, Derek. Is that right, Mr. Derek Smart?
Has it been that long?
I think so. I think you came on the show almost 2 years ago. I mean, we've exchanged some emails and stuff between them, but I don't think we've actually talked since you were on the show, episode 100 and change.
Oh wow! I had no idea it's been that long.
Time does indeed fly, but it's a momentous occasion to have you. I think appropriate. We've been talking, and I'd wanted to have you back on to discuss the lawsuit once CIG had given an answer, but that we had to do this. This opportunity was just we had to strike while this iron was hot. So I figured we'd do that. And of course, Henry's with us tonight. Henry will be kind of running the booth and looking at the Twitch stream.
Hey,
Evening, Henry. How are you? Hey,
welcome, Big Ant. We've already got some people coming in.
Cool. So your job, anybody who's listening and watching, is to make Henry notice you. And if Derek and I go off on a soliloquy, which he and I are both to do, it's a thing both of us do. Henry's job is to break in and make us shut up with questions or comments from you guys out there in internet land. So, all right. So I just thought we'd get started. Maybe just by going through the cast of characters. I've got a list of characters here, and I'm going to introduce them, and maybe we'll have, and Derek will maybe give us some, maybe what he, some his background or what he thinks, the introduction of those characters, and I'll join in. And we'll just kind of go down the list here. So the first person, obviously, we want to talk about is Chris Roberts here, and his history. He needs no introduction, right, Derek? I mean. Yeah. When maybe we'll put a relationship in here, Chris and Aaron together. When did they first start working together?
They started working even before Digital Anvil, but almost 25 years ago, because Aaron was still in the UK and Chris was here in the US. And while Chris was working, I'm not sure where Aaron was at the time for the whole Wing Commander thing, but I do know that when Chris was working on Freelancer, through the EA days, Aaron was in the UK because Aaron, they did Starlancer, which was a companion game to Freelancer. So Aaron has been in the UK, I would say, for the entirety of his career, while Chris has been bouncing back and forth.
Right, and maybe the key takeaway here is that Chris left the video game industry for a while, and Aaron was kind of there the whole time.
Correct. He never went anywhere. It was always what he's been doing.
Right, time. Which overseeing production of video games. So that I frequently commented on the show that we thought maybe Aaron would bring a little more, discipline, stability, maybe.
I'll be honest with you, that's one of my biggest disappointments, because I actually wrote 2 blogs back in 2015. This was shortly after Alex Mayberry left.
Right.
And Eric took over worldwide production, and I thought, this would be a good thing because Aaron never left. He has developed games. He was never in the spotlight. He's just one of those guys who, you read about him.
He's the rhythm guitar.
Yeah. So he was never really in the spotlight. He wouldn't. He's not one of those guys who pushes himself out there. You wouldn't. To be honest with you, I've never read until Star Citizen. I've never read more than 2 or 3 articles with Aaron in it, and that's basically he's basically a low key kind of guy.
Yeah.
So when Mayberry left, and I read that Aaron was taking over his duties in worldwide, I really hoped that he would have, reined Chris in. And the blog's on my website. You just search for Aaron, and you'll see it there. It's really my biggest disappointment in all of this, because I really thought that he would take the reins and
Speaking of disappointments, the next cast of the character here the next character here we're going to talk about is Ortwin Freymuth, who's as an attorney. I've been disappointed in a number of times over the past few years, but he's the next person. He is the third original director of CIG UK Limited. When we talk about CIG, a lot of times we're going to be talking about the UK Limited company because that's what we know most about. But yeah, he's the third original director of CIG UK Limited, an attorney hails from Germany and has a long history in film finance.
Yep.
And some of that history wasn't so great. Let's just say.
No, it wasn't, and we didn't even know anything about it until Star Citizen. So
yeah, mostly we're talking about the dissolving and the ending games of Ascendant Pictures back in the mid 2000s, I think.
What had happened was Chris had left Hollywood after he left Microsoft and went to make some films, and he had Ascendant Pictures with Ortwin, and that went on for a few years, and they got into an altercation with Kevin Costner. The result was they sold Ascendant to Bigfoot, I believe, and they kind of just disappeared.
Yeah.
The next thing we know, Chris shows up in 2012.
Right. So it's a little hiatus there, we'll call it.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one's in connected with that pictures thing. We have a fellow by the name of Eli Klein, who we just discovered today. Yeah. Officially, you and I had been talking. We sort of figured he would be in on this.
We did. We suddenly did. We did.
Yeah. You did some Google sleuthing that I was too lazy to do, essentially, and picked out a misspelling. And so we knew Mr. Klein was going to come in here somehow. But officially, we learned today he's another director on CIG UK Limited. And who is Mr. Klein? Who is this Mr. Klein fellow?
Well, Klein, the way this whole thing started, I mean, I didn't even know who he was. The whole thing started when we realized that the company Infratrade couldn't possibly be the investor that we, found out a week ago.
Yeah, when you do a search on it, it's like a dissolved corporation, and it's a single guy from Poland living in an apartment in London somewhere. Yeah, it's not what? No. Yeah.
Then one of the guys on my Discord server, where we plot the demise of Star Citizen and everything associated with it. We plot it every day, how to destroy it and all this stuff. So
HQ.
The destruction HQ. So we were going through all these permutations, and one guy just said, it might be Infratrade, not Infratrade, because when you do the search, Infratrade starts to pop up on the second page. Most people Google don't go beyond the first page.
Me, guilty.
Yeah. So
first entry, basically. That's it.
Yep, that's it. Once you go to the second page, it's right there. So from there, we just went to the company house, searched for that company, found it so that it had like 19 or more directors over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was one left. So we still weren't certain that it was Infratrade until today.
Until today. When it was confirmed by CIG's own announcement that now Mr. Klein is no longer officially listed as last time I checked as a director of Infratrade, but Alan Klein, who
the
presumably
dad,
is a relative, probably.
Dad. In fact, the thing is, we learned about him before the press release went out this morning, because first thing this morning when I popped on Discord, somebody already had the notification that Company House was updating, but I already had the tab for the offices already open. The tab was already updated. So I saw the name right there, and then I recognized the Klein. So I said, this is our confirmation that the company is Infratrade. So I shot over to the Company House Infratrade, looked through all the directors, saw that he was one of the directors at one time. He's dropped out, and now it's his father, his brother, that's the single director left there.
The other shareholder in Infratrade is a holding company out of British Virgin Islands. So it's probably a family held thing that they just have for registration purposes. They have a company holding stuff.
Yeah, possible.
Another one of those tax haven type things, the British Virgin Islands area. So okay, so Mr. Klein, the Kleins of Infratrade, that's where they come in. Now let's move on to the next new character here, Mr. Daniel O'Connell Offner of ONA PC Los Angeles law firm. Now, this guy is the big time.
Yep, he's a heavy hitter.
Heavy hitter. He was involved in some sort of deal a couple of years ago that was very large.
Oculus.
Yeah.
Oculus.
2.3 billion with a B.
On
selling Oculus to Facebook. So yeah, this guy is no clown. He's for real.
The thing is, I know a lot of people in the industry who actually know him. I know of him, but we never met or anything. But one particular friend of mine on LinkedIn, and as soon as I realized that who it was, I shut off one of my, because we connected. We have like 250 peers, on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to a few of my friends. 3 of them were in the, give me business who've done with them, and they said, this guy's a heavy hitter. If he's involved, he's only involved one of 2 reasons: either A, he's an investor, or B, investors hired him to oversee the investment, which is what I wrote in my blog.
Right.
They said,
he owns,
he owns his own company. He does the investment.
Blue Heron.
Blue Heron. So they said, if this guy's involved, it means one of 2 things: either he's invested or he's representing investors. This guy's a no-nonsense kind of guy. He's a sharp guy. He's smart. He's on the up and up. And I thought, well, this is what we were thinking by Aaron back in 2015.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And lots of things sort of went through my mind. One of the first things I thought, if you look through O&A's client list, is one of his major clients is Ubisoft.
Yep.
So one of the first things I went to was this Indus Management, who was the other share purchaser in the May 23rd, 2018 deal. That would be a nice front for a company that didn't want to let anybody know that Ubisoft was investing. Be a nice way to set up a shell company in the Cayman Islands. You'd never know. But of course we've been updated, and it's not that.
You and I were bouncing ideas back and forth, and I was saying there's no way any investor in the business or publisher will ever give Chris Roberts money. And people kept saying, no, it might be Ubisoft. And I said, no, there's no way, especially not Ubisoft, because over the years, I know most of the guys. I know the guys who own it. I know some of the guys who've worked there and have moved on. Those guys are very, very conservative when it comes to investments. So, and forget about Ubisoft. I just did not think any publisher in the business would ever give Chris money for anything.
I was positioning myself as the optimist, thinking, oh, well, this is the way that it could be legit, not some sort of, like a backroom deal with, Russian sovereign investment funds. There could be, maybe it's a legit company. That was my
Columbus Nova.
Columbus Nova, yeah, Pentagon or Panama Papers things, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so Mr. Offner, serious player, like I say, has had his name being attached to a project carries serious weight. As
I told you, I'm a little conflicted on that going forward, because
we'll get there.
We'll get there.
We're
going to
get there.
You know I'm going with this, right?
Oh yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there. We are. We're going through the facts first, right? We want to. This is, you have a certain reputation. I've gained a certain reputation, but we're going to lay out some facts first, and then we're going to go on to, oh my God, plotting and destruction. Was that what it was? Right.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what those guys think we do on my Discourse.
I know. Just, but let's go with it. Embrace it. I say embrace it. That's what I'm doing. Okay. So Clive Calder is the next person. He is a record industry. Well, let's go ahead and call him ex-mogul, because he bailed. He sold out for, again, a lot of money.
He's a billionaire.
Yeah, this is, now Offner didn't get the 2.3 billion that went to the Oculus founders. But he took a piece of that. This guy actually got the however many billions it was for selling out to BMG back in the early 2000s.
It was like 2 decades ago.
Yeah. So he has tons of money and lots of time on his hands, because he doesn't run a record company anymore. So that's Clive. Do you have any other insights on him? I'm just reading. I just got this off the Wikipedia page.
No,
basically.
these guys are completely off my radar. All I know so far in the past 24 hours is the preview you just gave, and the fact that him and his son do some investments. But there's really not a lot out there. It looks like they do most of the things, quietly. Guys who make money, that kind of money, don't really advertise it too much. They just want to make money quietly and just,
Right.
slink on through. So there's really not much out there in terms of investment. I don't know anybody who even knows them.
Yeah. So his son Clive is the dad, and
Yeah.
he's got the money. His son Keith,
Yeah.
is the other Calder that's involved here, and he has a history of sort of film investments. He's not like the top
Correct.
name on the production companies, but he takes pieces of small pieces of films. The most notably was an animated film in 2015, which was nominated for Best Animated Feature.
Yep.
Animosa, something like that. I had it.
Yeah.
I
It's
never
on-
saw it.
it's
I have no
it's on
idea.
Wikipedia.
But
Yeah, me
it was
either.
funny because we get IMDb. But yeah, it was funny because there's two people that are an actor and an actress that did the two voices, and then there's the third guy that does every other voice. I thought that was a unique cast. I thought that was an
Yeah.
interesting way to cast a film.
Way to
But,
save money. Way to save money too.
sure, or that guy must be like the Kellen Winslow. Who is that guy from Police Academy? Doing all the 80s. Yeah, he must be the modern Kellen Winslow. So, all right. So that's the Calders, and the last one. This is a little out of left field, but not really. This is maybe an old school name that Derek might remember. Simon Elms.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, so. And I've done a little bit of work on him, like a little. And this is one of those ones where I'm gonna give you some room to go here, Derek, just a little bit. But you tell me about Simon Elms, and we'll see how this goes. Do you remember any? Because him and his brother Nick go way back with Aaron.
Yep.
They
all go way back.
They all go way back.
They all go way back. Yeah.
But Simon signed off on the sort of the financial report that CIG put on their website. He is currently listed as the chief financial officer of, I think it's Foundry 42, maybe CIG UK Limited, one of those entities.
He's the CFO for the entire group.
For the whole group.
CIG,
Okay.
CIG is the group, so he's the CFO for the entire group.
So he signed off on the financials today. His brother Nick is the creative director at Foundry 42. So the Elms boys, and they go back quite a ways to the Gizmondo days. They were
it's a family business.
Yeah. So there's nothing tying anybody to that. It seemed like a fiasco that mostly took place in Sweden with the Swedish mafia and some other crazy crap like that. It's just one of those things where everybody wishes they were at arm's length on it. But there's a lot of history between the Elmses and the Robertses there. So Simon's the one that signed off on the financials that we had today. So I think that rounds out the cast of characters. Have we missed anybody, do you think, Derek? Or
no? I think that's pretty much it.
I try to be pretty complete here. So when we talk, as we go through the rest of this, these are names that we're going to be mentioning a bit. So we've got our ensemble now.
We got a roster. Yeah,
that's right. Let's see who are we starting. We're quarterback. I got Aaron at quarterback, and I've got Ortwin at running back. Or we'll have a fantasy roster here. All right. So next thing we're going to just move on here to what started this off is there's been just a flurry of paperwork in the past 15 days regarding with the lawsuit for Crytek versus CIG and all these filings with the CIG UK and Companies House, sort of corporate registry of the United Kingdom.
Right.
So first off, like I said, I was going to have you on to talk about the lawsuit once we had an answer filed. For reasons that we'll discuss in a little bit, that might or might not happen now. But this motion, this motion to dismiss for the paragraph 2.4, section 2.4.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Well, it kind of. I was a little bit surprised with the judge's ruling, to be honest, because after she threw out 2.12, the exclusive clause, and then pointed out 2.4. I mean, those people who read my articles know that I had already, since January, when I wrote my first article, I had said 2.4 is going to be a major problem. And all of a sudden, right through all the filings, nobody mentioned 2.4. So when she did her motion to dismiss in August, I believe, and I was reading through the reasons she granted 2.12 in favor of CIG, I noticed she had a note.
Always the footnotes.
Very few people read the footnotes, you know.
But you
So,
always should, because the good stuff is
yeah,
always there.
that's always there. So I read the
Always.
footnote and you know 2.4 just hit me like a waft of air, and I'm like, this is exactly what I was talking about.
Right.
So I really assumed that because she had thrown out 2.12, the exclusive clause, that, and then she pointed out to CIG kind of thing like, hey, you guys are worried about one thing. This is what you should be, you know,
Correct.
looking at.
Right.
That she was, you know, paving the way. But now that she ruled and gave in favor of CIG, it occurs to me that she did that even though she gave them a motion to amend. She did that because she probably wanted to cut back on the back and forth that was sure to come if she had,
Yes.
you know, left it as it is.
Yeah,
And also that as you know, as an attorney, you know, that's all, leaving that 2.4 thing out of the way completely also leaves room for things like appeals down the
Right.
road.
We're gonna talk about this a little bit more later, but
Sure.
factually, 100% correct. It was the footnote that
Yep.
kicked on that thing. 2.1.2 was out. 2.4
Yep.
was in.
Was in.
They Crytek amended the complaint to say, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. And then CIG said, I can't do that. And U.S. District Judge, I can't talk. District Judge Dolly M.G. Decided that not good enough. Not good enough. We're going to go ahead and let CIG kick that out as well. So that was a major development in the case. And
It was.
some people didn't read it quite correctly the first time. Didn't get it quite right.
Yeah.
It said, "Oh, the case is completely over. It's all the way done, and all kind of stuff." Others of us, some of us, actually read the thing.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about, guys?
Is this the part where I'm supposed to stop you, Tony?
Right, yeah. This is where you should probably reel me in. Because I'm just, Henry and I were talking earlier today. Henry's wife, Tracy, says that I need a t-shirt that says hashtag Tony is right. And like on the back side of it, on the inside of it, Tony is wrong in some sort of tie-dyed weird ass color that's really ugly and embarrassing. So, but yeah, this would be a Tony is right moment that I should back off.
Yeah. It was kind of weird how this, quote unquote YouTube attorneys kind of interpreted that. I mean, the thing about it is, even though she threw out 2.4, 2.4 was a when she threw out 2.12, 2.4 was a freebie for Crytek. They would have been stupid not to have gone after 2.4. They could have just ignored it and brought it up during the case because, as you know, though it was never part of a motion to dismiss, had the judge not brought it up, it's something they'll be arguing about at trial.
Yeah.
And that would have been, you know what I mean? That would have been a bigger problem.
Yeah. The whole point, and we're straying a little bit from the facts part of it, but this is I think non-controversial, as if you know some things about the law. The whole point of this whole motion to dismiss process and why lawyers trade these things back and forth is to narrow down the issues. It's like we're not going to talk about these things in the case. We've got all these things that you did wrong, and you're a bad company, and you're a bad person, and you cheated me, and you lied, and blah 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 blah. So we're gonna narrow the focus of that and just get down to what we really have a difference in, problem with. And so this stuff is trying to weed that down. And if you don't weed it down, it's in.
It's in.
Yep. So all right. So that was a pretty major development at the beginning of the month, and then we started to get a whole bunch of stuff.
Kept coming. Kept coming.
One after another after another. So we'll set the way back clock a little bit here, back to the end of 2017, right around when the Crytek lawsuit was filed. Just about. We had a filing that said CIG was splitting their stock. There used to be 100 shares, and I was going to go to 1 million. Now that's so vanilla. There's nothing there. It's just we're dividing up our shares, smaller units. It's usually a prelude to an equity distribution to your workers or bringing in investors.
When they did that, and I wrote the first article I wrote after they did that, and I said, 100 shares, £1 each, subdivided to 1 million shares at not 1 pence each can only mean one thing: either investors, or they wanted to do share distribution with contractors or employees, or as an incentive to hire people. But the thing is, those who had I had written an article in September 2017, which preceded the lawsuit, saying that they were out looking for money and they were getting rebuffed. When I wrote that article in September 2017, a whole bunch of people started emailing me and sending me DMs and telling me, I don't know what we're talking about. They have all this money. They've raised over almost $200 million. Why would they need to be going to investors? CIG is doing this because they want to spread the love, and like, okay, whatever.
Sure. Because there are a bunch of hippies over there. We all know.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But, we saw this coming.
Yeah. So so we had a signal in late 2017 that something financially was going to happen. Yeah. Something financially was going on. Yep. And so then we fast forward to May 23rd of this year. This happened. This is late spring of this year, but we don't find out about it until dead of winter 2018, or 7 months later almost. Yep. So we don't find out about this on the same day, but on the same day, a bunch of stuff happened. This was the deal day. First thing they did was in addition to that share split, where they went from 100 to 1 million, they also created a bunch of new shares. The precise number of that would be 113,861 new shares, which is a oddly specific number.
It is.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around why they picked that number. I don't suppose you have any.
The only thing I'm a numbers guy, and it still doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I looked at it, and at first it didn't really click that Chris, Aaron, and Ortwin had actually sold shares to Infiltrate. It didn't click at all until we were adding up the numbers. We go, hey, hang on a second. So these three clowns gave money to this company, so this company must be the money company. Then when you look at the numbers, you go, these are new shares. So this was a really odd number. Yeah. So what it looks like for this kind of, it's just like you do a payday loan. If you're really desperate
hang on. You're getting ahead. Hang on. This is where we're talking about the conclusions part.
Okay.
I'm wondering if you have any insight as to why they picked that specific number, because I don't.
None whatsoever.
Yeah, it's just a weird, odd number. So
it is.
So that was the first thing that happened, and then we go to what you were saying just a second ago. The 18,000.
Actually, I do have a theory. A theory, and that theory popped up in my head today. And the reason for that is, for the past few days, we've been speculating that this investment might have been unique to UK only. But I wrote a blog a few days ago where I said because CIG is a parent, I couldn't envision any situation where an investor would just invest in the UK company, not the US. So if they're going to split it up, it makes sense that if they've got $46 million and they want to leave some in the UK, some in the US, this is how they will split it up. That's how the shares end up being weird, because this shares are the UK.
Yeah, except the problem is, and that's a fine explanation, except on their own webpage, they said that there's this odd number of shares and then a / same number of units sold in the LLC.
Yep.
So that makes it 222,000 some blah 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 2 shares total between the shares and the units, which is still an oddly specific number.
It is. Well, today they killed. Today, when they released their financials today, they killed that theory completely, because it killed my theory, right. Because it meant that those shares were actually for the entire group, UK and US, which means the money as well.
Well, these are conclusions we're going to draw. Hang on, we'll get there. So, but I want to go back to the next part where you use the 18,500. So there's the 113 and odd number, right?
Yep.
That's the shares that popped into existence based on a corporate resolution. So they appear, they're in the corporate treasury essentially, that they're available to be distributed. So then we get the 18,501 shares, again, oddly specific, that were sold in combination from between Aaron and Ortwin and Chris. They each pooled various amounts from each of their 3 pools and sold them to Infra Trade, actually.
Infra without an R.
Trade, right, exactly. On the paper that we were examining, it's Infra. But
they got it wrong.
Thanks to looking at the second page of Google, which I totally failed to do. Hashtag Tony was wrong. Infra Trade is where those 18,500 went. So it was a transfer, not a creation, but a transfer. So that was the next thing that happened. The third thing that happened is that those magic shares that appeared out of nowhere, that were created by corporate fiat, essentially, some of those were sold to Indus Management, which is the Cayman Islands group. the Cayman Islands company, but they didn't get 113,861 shares. No.
Nope.
They got 111,386 shares, which again is an oddly specific number, which you can create by moving the one that used to be at the end of the share created number and moving it 2 orders of magnitude over and plopping it where the 3 used to be.
Right.
Which is weird, but okay.
Very weird.
It's weird, but okay. So that goes there. All right. So that went to Indus, and a company named Urlock Limited got the 2,475 shares that were sort of left over once you slide the 1 over a couple decimal.
Right.
So there's another entity at play here, which even now after the release of CIG's financial, I know nothing about. Have any little birdies talk to you?
Could be a commission thing.
That's my theory. That's the theory.
It could be broker fee, commission fee, could be any of those things. But also remember, those shares are not the same value as the shares that created out of thin air.
No, these were a subset. These were a subset of the ones that are created out of thin air. The total number.
Part of the same pool.
Yeah.
The thing you must remember though is that the shares that the executives hold are a different class of shares than the one that created for the to get the money. The one that created out of thin air, fiat. We're talking about 2 separate shares here.
Are we sure about that?
Well, there you go.
It seems to me, and again, I'm trying to keep things separate from conclusions and facts. It seems to
hyperbole.
Me, yeah, right, exactly. We'll get to that part of the show in a little bit, but it seems to me like based on the filing that I examined, it seems to me that the shares we're all talking about here, the ones that were created out of thin air, went to the corporate treasury and then sold to Indus and Urlock. The ones that were transferred from Chris, Ortwin, and Aaron to Infotrade. These are all Class A. We're going to call them Class A shares. There's no name for it.
Voting shares.
Voting shares, right. Proportionally voting shares.
Yeah.
At least on paper for the filing that I examined. There's no Series A, Series B, Class A, Class B, non-voting, superseding, whatever. Supposedly they're all created equal. As of May 23rd, 2018. Things may have changed since then, but as of May 23, 2018, that's how things were. So that's the transactions that occurred. These are all things that are on file. These are primary documents that I've examined from government sources. So we're to the extent that people will go to jail for perjuring themselves, we're pretty sure of these facts. These are reliable.
Right.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and start with the speculating now. This is the fun part. Let's go ahead. So let's start with where do you want to start, Derek? I mean, let's where do you want?
Sure, man. I'm open.
No. All right. So let's start with tracking down Infotrade. So these are even on the website, on the CIG website, the one that they put up there about the financials. They refer to Klein, Eli Klein, as an old friend.
Yeah.
This is a buddy. This is somebody they knew back from the film days.
Yep.
So this is when you're talking about corporate governance or trying to get a deal done. This is a guy that's going to be in your pocket and on your side.
Which explains his split shares, which I think they probably gave it to him as his broker or finder's fee kind of thing.
And that's where where I want to go next, because you would not assume, but you might think that be led to believe that if you were looking for investors, you'd go to your old friend who ran his business Infotrade currently, and Infotrade for the last 20 plus years has done something called bridge finance.
Yep, that's correct.
And what's a layman's definition of bridge finance, Derek? What'd you call it?
I don't think there's a layman's definition. It's bridge financing is if you want to get financing for something and you don't think the deal is going to close and you need the cash right away, somebody will come in, give you some cash, get it's sometimes favorable terms to tide you along, and then they get paid out at the end of the deal. But you only get bridge financing when you have a solid deal. No one's going to bridge a deal if there isn't something concrete on the table.
And this is very important / interesting in my view. This is supposition, speculation, but in my view, the history of that company as a bridge finance company, you only make a loan if there's a high percentage chance you're going to get the money back. You're going to make something off the deal. in relatively short order.
Yep.
So that seems to be the matchmaker role to me. Like, it's like, well, you've got a deal cooking. December 2017, they do the share division from 100 to 1 million. So they've got something, or at least there's a term sheet floating around, because they know they're going to have to sell a piece of the company. So having 1 million shares is a lot more useful than having 100. So there's something cooking at the end of 2017. Somewhere in 2018, a couple of things happen. Number one, the loan from Coots is going to come due, because they took out the loan in June of 2017. And then typically loans like that are going to be they could be for less, but I mean, that's the sort of term that you'd expect from sort of a bank. They're not going to lend you less than a few million, and they're not going to lend it for any less time than, a year or something like that. So, and the prime plus 2 kind of lends that too. So probably a year term. Loans coming due. The deal is going to close. We're pretty sure. Their fingers crossed in May of 2018, but they're not going to be able to drag it over the line. In comes Infiltrate. They give that here's the collateral. The collateral is 18,500 shares of our company. Plus, we're going to pay you back with the proceeds of the deal, which we expect to close in May. And you're going to have a seat at the table now. This is a pretty good deal for a bridge finance company, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. But it's only a good deal if they can realize the investment, though, because remember, those guys don't invest. They don't want to stick anything in investment if they can get immediate cash out.
And that's another fun part too. The Urlock.
Yeah.
Because my supposition was that 24.75 shares to Urlock, that was a commission. It's 2.222222222%.
It's not 0.222%.
It's 2.2 of the deal, but it's
right
0.22 of the yeah. See, and again, that's all the numbers start dancing, right? Because of the way that they've structured this with that weird number, depending on where you put the decimal point, it's either 2% of the deal or 0.02% of the company.
Of the shares,
of the total shares. Yeah. So I mean, again, it's making the numbers dance. But yeah. So it's if you don't need 2 matchmakers. If there's anything I've learned, you don't need 2 matchmakers. That's the definition of a third wheel right there. You just need the 1 matchmaker. So who's Urlock then?
No idea. It's a mystery still.
And go ahead.
That amount of shares, though, leads me to believe that Urlock might be some sort of commission. It could also be when I checked, Klein wasn't attached to it. There's a whole bunch of different actors attached to Urlock, and because what I was thinking is, if you have more than 2 people involved in a collaboration, they might have their own companies. So you could have somewhere where we say, we do this deal, you get this cut, and I get this cut. So that's how you end up with Infiltrate and Urlock. But Urlock's share is pretty small. It's small enough to be a commission. Is also small enough to be like a broker's fee or finder's fee or something. But other than that, we know nothing about Urlock.
I know something about Urlock.
Oh,
they are almost millionaires now.
Okay.
Because
from the valuation.
Because what we know
on paper.
No, I think, and we'll be able to.
They can't sell those shares tomorrow. I mean, they can't sell it tomorrow. They don't have the cash.
Would you like me to go full on tinfoil hat?
Yes,
I'll do it. I'm going to go right now. Here we go. So we know that the deal is mirrored, right? CIG UK and CIG LLC in the United States. It's a mirror deal. It's whatever you did in CIG UK. The same thing happened with CIG US.
Right.
So they got 2475 units of the LLC. At the same time, they got 2475 shares in the UK. Together, that's 4,950 pieces.
Okay.
Those pieces in the UK were valued at 149.63 guinea quids in the moon man money they use in England. If they're still using that, I don't even know. Brexit's happening. Brexit's happening. Who knows? God only knows. They might be doing poker chips by the end of the week.
This is true.
Yeah, but at the exchange rate of the time, that was almost precisely $200 a share.
Yep.
So 4,950 shares at $200 a share is just shy of $1 million.
Yes, but that's on paper.
This is what here's tinfoil. If we see another filing where those shares get bought out, somebody just got $1 million, and this is This is where I think that you, sir, have speculated quite a bit, and there's some evidence in the CIG UK filings that there may have been some cash out taken.
Yeah.
That Aaron might have gotten a rather substantial payday from the sale of Foundry 42 assets.
Yeah, we wouldn't know until they filed the 2018 financials, September 2019, if they file on time.
Yeah, so there's some evidence to suggest that, but my tinfoil hat, and I'm going to put a supposition. If we see a filing in the future where those 2,475 shares for Urlock get purchased back, that is definitely cash out of the company.
Yep, absolutely.
Somebody just took a lot of money out of the company. Now, it could be, like we're saying, it could be a commission. It could be some broker or something said, I want to do that. But I don't think so, because that's a fee. That's an expense. You get a write off on your taxes for that.
It's income. It's income.
So it doesn't seem to me like that would be the way to do that. So, and the other thing that kind of makes me raise my eyebrow about Urlock is that there's not a peep of it on the financials that CIG released today.
I know. I noticed.
Yeah. And they're all, we're the greatest transparency of all time, and we left out.
I actually have it written down here, Urlock question mark, since this morning when I was doing my my writing, saying what's going on here, because it wasn't mentioned at all.
And I, as a lawyer, it's what's not said, right? If you're doing opening statements and arguments, and the guys, if you got the law, you pound the law. If you got the facts, you pound the facts. If you don't have either, you pound the table.
Yep.
This they did a lot of table thumping today about how great this all was, and everyone's on board, and all these wonderful things are happening, and they left somebody out.
Yep.
So that's right where I go to look.
Curious.
Yeah. The other thing about it comes from my banking days. When I was in college, I did something called proof operating.
All right.
This is an ancient technology where you put the magnetic numbers on the bottom of checks so the computers could read them. And being a human person with 3 fingers on the 10 key, I would make mistakes. One thing you always looked for was what's called a transposition error, where you take a digit from one place and you accidentally put it in another because your pinky is faster than your index finger.
Right.
It happens all the time. You always know because the difference, the error, is divisible by 9. 2475 is divisible by 9. It's a transposition type error. So it's like, that would be a fun way to hide something. I'm going tinfoil hat here again, because
I'm with you.
You with me? Because this total share amount for CIG is now 1,113,386 shares, and then they sold 113,861 shares total. But then 111,386 shares went to Indus, and 2475 went to Urlock. This is a fun way to, like, if you're making a list of things, you're like, oops, I just mixed a number up.
A rounding error kind of thing, yeah.
We didn't even have to list Urlock.
Like saying infratrade versus infiltrate to throw people off kind of thing.
Yeah, we're going total Alex Jones here. I mean, we're 100% InfoWars at this point, folks. 100%.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are through the looking glass here, people. But it's one of the I've frequently said, once is a fluke, twice is a coincidence, third time is the pattern. I'm looking for the third. Yeah. I don't see the third yet. So it could be 2 just weird things on there as filings. Who knows? I have no data, but I'm keeping my eyes open. So that's that. I thought that was a fun piece there of that speculation. Let's talk about other fun speculations here. How about that lawsuit now? How about that lawsuit?
What about it?
The value of that settlement went down, didn't it?
It did, but the thing about that settlement, even though 2.4 kind of went out the door there, you're an attorney, you know that the copyright infringement on Squadron 42 is a huge hammer.
It could be.
Keep underestimating things like breach of contract, which is really not there. But if the judge had dismissed the Squadron 42 thing, I would be the first to be saying this lawsuit is gone. CIG would write them a check for $1 million or $2 million and call it quits. But the fact that Squadron 42, the copyright infringement still sits there, what we've seen from this judge, and how juries can be all over the place. If they don't settle this, and they go to trial in 2020 with that Squadron 42 infringement, it could go either way. It could hurt CIG quite a bit if they risk it. All the other stuff really at this point, the breach of contract, the whole thing with Ortwin, all those things are peripheral. I mean, it's really the amount of damages at the end of the day. I've been in this business for a very, very long time, and I've seen the smallest copyright infringement or patent or trademark, bury people in bankruptcy, bury companies. Because judges and juries, you could go in thinking, oh yeah, we're going to get 2 million from this, and a jury goes and gives them 100 million. And
Yeah.
now you're talking about appeals and all this nonsense, and it's always a waste of money. But
Yes.
it's a very, very, very dangerous cause of action to take to trial a copyright infringement or patent infringement without settling it. It's just very, very dangerous.
I agree with you on your sentiments. I sort of have my own feeling on the value of the case, because what you said a second ago is you write CIG writes Crytek a check for $1 million or $2 million and they go away.
Yeah,
I think that's what they do now. I mean, I think the settlement value of the case for Crytek went way down once 2.4 got thrown out. Because
I agree.
and I really think that the smart thing to do for Crytek, even not only for CIG but for Crytek, is to single-digit $1 million settlement and bail, because
Well,
they
here's
have
the thing.
they
Yeah.
got a payday. There's a payday now, right?
Yep. Oh, there is. Well, the thing about it though is one thing that a lot of people keep not they keep forgetting, they don't realize, is that this was never about money for Crytek. And I know those guys. I know the owners of the company. I know some guys that work there. I know guys that haven't worked there. Um, it was never about money. All these guys on the internet, oh, Crytek wants money. It was never about money. I've known these guys forever. I've known them from when they were just developers.
Right.
They're
I
not looking
believe
for
you.
money. They're not looking for money at all. This is
I,
about
justice.
this is justice, animosity, and the fact that they felt betrayed and they just want to expose and prove that they were right. And the only way they're going to do that is to take the flimsiest thing to discovery and just embarrass the hell out of CIG.
I agree with you. I totally believe you. It's not that I agree with you, because I don't know the guys. I have no idea, but I believe you. I believe you that these sentiments exist, and this is a motivating factor. But as a lawyer, I gotta. If Crytek were my client, I would tell them, guys, I know you want your pound of flesh. I know you want your justice. I really do know that. We kind of got one of our legs chopped out from under us here. Sitting across the other side is a big fat pile of money that just came in the door. We should just take a piece of that and go home.
I agree. I would do it if I was Crytek, because there's always a time to cut your losses and you just let things flow. The bottom line is, when money is involved, morals tend to take a back seat. So, I mean, if you spend right now, I envision it's been a year with a law firm like Skadden. I can tell you right now, Crytek must have blown through $250,000 easy.
Easily,
Easy, easy.
Yeah.
With a firm like Skadden and all these filings, $250,000 easy. So if
Skadden Arps? Oh, I thought it was Steptoe
Skadden,
Johnson.
Skadden, it's a Skadden lawsuit.
I got my S. I got my S.
Yeah. So if I were Crytek and CIG came and said, here's a couple of million, and I do the math, I would take it, because it's still free money. Because, hey, let's put it this way: if somebody hits your car, you're just going to get paid by insurance company to get a new car. If you hurt your neck, you get a payout. At the end of the day, it's all about the money. You have to decide whether or not you're going to get $2 million, and you recovered your $250,000 in attorney fees, and you got $1.5 million justice. But at the end of the day, would you throw the dice on refusing $1.5 million and then go to trial and get nothing, or spend another $500,000, then settle? Well, now you've already spent $500,000 in attorney fees, as opposed to $250,000. All of a sudden, that 1.5 to $2.5 million is looking a little light in your wallet.
Yeah.
There's a long way to go. Even though the judge gave Crytek leave to amend, and I believe they're going to come back with something that's probably going to cause a lot of confusion regarding the marketing, because the judge was specific. One instance of marketing is not marketing. If they come back with that and the judge lets it, And bearing in mind they only need one thing for the entire 2.4 to go to trial. Just one thing.
Yeah. They just need to have one set of facts.
One thing. Yep.
Just one set of facts where it's possible to make it to do a recovery on it.
Yep.
But I want to talk about that because we talked about it on the show a little bit this last week.
Yep.
The trouble that Crytek has is that most of the people that were in that conversation are now on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
Because Ortwin was on CIG's side after having been on Crytek's side of the table for a lot of other deals with a lot of other companies. And then the guy that was their general counsel at the
French
time,
guy,
Franz Martin, I think.
Yeah.
That guy has since come on. He's general counsel of Foundry 42.
Correct.
So the people that would be able to say, I was there when they said XYZ, which led us to rely on their word that marketing or promoting meant this. We agreed that that's what that meant. That's a thing that happened. Everybody that can attest to those things is over on the other side now. They may have emails or something that give you clues and things, but maybe not. Because
the thing about it though, these deals, I mean, in all my years, a couple of things people need to realize is when these deals get made, whether it's a licensing deal or it's a buyout deal, there's a lot of emails before you even get to talking on the phone. I mean, I've done a lot of deals. And you can spend 3-4 weeks or months on emails before you actually pick up the phone and make a single call to talk about anything. So I believe that even though those two guys are gone, I believe that that's what Discovery is for. There might be emails, people lie on their oath and all this crap, but who knows?
But if there were emails, this is kind of the problem that I have here. If there were emails, then there should be a lot more specific allegations coming from Crytek, because Crytek should be able to. They should be able to just pull up the email archive of Martin when he was working there and just go boom, 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 boom.
I agree.
I mean, maybe there's some attorney-client privilege things that you don't want to expose what your attorney was telling to you at the pleading stage. I understand. I get where there might be some trepidation there, but it seems to me if the judge is saying, I need some specific allegations as to why the law, this Vizio case that CIG has out there, why this is the generic law that we're going to operate under. If you can't come up with specific facts as to why this law doesn't apply, then we're not going to do this. 2.4 is done.
This is why I think that what they're going to come back with, I mean, if I was Crytek and I was faced with this, the one thing I would come back with, which is a slam dunk, assuming the judge understands how technology works, it would be the fact that the Lumberyard logo is shown every time you fire up the game.
Yeah.
They would have to, I'm not sure how they're going to present that to the judge. You're an attorney, things like, what's the word I'm looking? There's a term that you guys use, republication. Republication things is a thing.
Yeah.
And it can hurt you depending on the lawsuit and the allegations, but whether that applies with a logo in a game that keeps firing up with is something that
the trick is where the trick is, where does the promotion sort of take place? Does it take place every time a person views it when they pop up the screen? That means that you could be republishing it to me twice a day if I do 2 sessions a day. Or is the publication the creation of the splash screen? We've made a splash screen, and God knows how many times people are going to look at it. Maybe 0. Maybe people don't ever boot up our game. We don't know that. But we've published it that way. So
let me tell you one more thing coming from somebody who's signed a lot of these contracts over the years. I've actually have a license agreement with Crytek, Epic, EA, Microsoft, Google, Apple, blah blah blah. I can tell you right now, even with Unity or Unreal Engine, the requirement to display their logo is a marketing and promotional requirement as per the contract.
Yep. It's consideration.
But they have to articulate that to the judge. If they don't make the judge understand that displaying the logo in your game because you use our engine is a requirement of that license, it's going to fly over her head. She's not going to get it. That's the only, if they're going to, this is assuming they come back with the logo thing. If they come back with the logo thing, they would have to explain to the judge right off the bat why the logo would satisfy the advertising promotion requirement, because by itself I don't think it's going to fly. They would have to say, judge, here it is, Unreal Engine, Unity, CryEngine, displaying even Lumberyard, even Amazon requires you to display the Lumberyard logo. So that's if they come back with that and they explain it to the judge, correctly, there's a very good chance it might survive. Because other than that, they don't have anything else. I mean, they can come back with 10 or 15 different interviews or press releases. I don't think that's going to fly with the judge. They have to come back with something more concrete.
There's a classic case that you learn in law school. It's the carbolic smoke ball from 1850 or something. It's some patent medicine snake oil thing. You breathe in this like poisonous fume chemical and you're gonna feel so great. It's probably because you're high because of oxygen deprivation, because of whatever it is blocking your lungs. But anyway, carbolic smoke ball, and it's called mere puffery, right? You're just saying things because you sort of say things. You're building yourself up.
Just throw it out there. Just throw everything in.
We're making a big deal out of it because we're with Amazon now. Not because we're not promoting their engine. We just want somebody to associate us with Amazon. So anytime you bring in an advertisement in, unless you're talking about a false pretenses kind of a thing or a fraudulent inducement thing, which is not on the table here, judges are like, advertisement? Really? Okay. No. People lie all the time in ads, and everyone knows that.
I agree.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes off here. So the big headline.
Yes.
Next thing I want to talk about here. The big headline is $46 million. Big. Wow, that's lots of money, and that means CIG is now worth $500 million
on paper.
Let's break that down just
on paper.
Hey, Derek, did the Calders write Chris Roberts a $46 million check today, or actually in May? Did he write him a $46 million check? Is that what happened?
He can afford it. Yeah, I don't see why not.
Do you think it's likely?
I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
You think he wrote it? You think he handed him a big sack of money?
Well, probably just wired it. Probably just wired it.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. For one thing, this is okay. $46 million to a billionaire is a rounding error.
Well, sure.
Yeah, he could lose that tomorrow and take a tax write-down. I remember he lives in the Cayman Islands. The company's in the Cayman Islands. I don't know where their other company is, but $46 million to a billionaire, again, it's a rounding error. He could lose all that tomorrow, and he can take that tax write-off for the next, as long as he wants. So he has $46 million. He can write as a loss. He can hold it in his books for as long as he wants, take it year after year after year till it runs out if he wants to. So I believe he gave them $46 million.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you a couple more questions. I'm going to do a lawyer trick on you. I'm going to ask you some more. I'm going to break you down. I'm going to break you down one piece at a time, Derek. It's a lawyer trick. All right. So who do you think it's more likely was the point person on this deal? Was it Clive, the billionaire, rich music mogul, or was it Keith, the guy that invests in movies from time to time?
You mean the source of the money? It has to
be who's the point guy? Who's the guy that was out there making the deals?
I have to believe it's Klein. I have to believe Klein started this whole
You think Clive started this?
Yeah, I think the Klein guy started it.
No. Okay, let's hang on. Let's break this down. Klein. I agree with you. Klein probably was like the matchmaker. Eli Klein from Infiltrate, right? There's Clive Calder, who's the daddy on the record stuff.
He's the money guy.
Okay, he's the money bags, but I think Keith, the son, was the guy taking the meetings.
Possibly.
Because I mean, if I'm a retired ex-music mogul who did NSYNC in the Backstreet Boys or whoever it was, his big records were, I'm not sure I'm down with the whole highfalutin fancy video game stuff.
True,
but I think a guy that was big in an animated movie motion picture, this might be in his wheelhouse.
I agree.
All right, so I think Junior took the meetings.
I agree.
And went and talked to Dad. Do you think Dad let Junior have $46 million?
I think so. I think
it has to be. So.
It depends on what he sold Dad. Now, here's the thing.
All right.
Now, I see where you're going with this.
Okay.
The reason why I think they actually did give them $46 million, which is split between the U.S. and the UK,
right? 23
is because if you look at the financials, which I'm sure we're going to come to in a bit, if you look at the financials, CIG is burning through more money than they're making.
Yes.
So I don't see why they would do a deal with anybody, which would just be based on milestones kind of thing, because it's just gonna put them upside down. I'll give you an example.
Yes, it would.
The money in the loan they got from Coots didn't do them anything. It's still
No.
on their books. So
Okay.
it'll be the same thing. If you say, okay, I'm gonna allocate $46 million, and I'm gonna give you, for argument's sake, let's say I'm gonna give it to you, over a 4-month period. That's not gonna do them any good, because they would burn through that. And remember, this thing happened in May. We're now in December.
Right, 7 months ago.
So
Yeah.
whatever they would have given them, if they were piecemeal in that, they have no money now. That money would be gone.
Well, don't forget CitizenCon. They got a bunch of money at CitizenCon.
But that's $7 million. They're burning through $4 million a month.
Yeah.
So if they made $7 million at CitizenCon and the anniversary, that's almost $1 million. That's a month and a half worth of funds,
Right.
which is already gone.
Yes.
So that's why I don't think that they did. Yeah, that's why I don't think they did a deal whereby they're going to give them any money over time. If they did, it would have been a smart play
for Indus, for the Calders.
Yeah, it would have been a smart play for the Calders. But the other thing, though, is the other reason I think they did that is because they inserted Dan to oversee their investment. You don't put Dan or somebody like Dan in a company as a director if you're only going to give some guys a few $1 million.
This is because what I think.
He cost them a lot of money.
Sure.
He's not doing it for free.
He's not cheap. Oh yeah.
Right. He's not cheap. Yeah. He's not doing it for free. So there's no way they would have made him a director of the company over a $4 or $5 million piecemeal kind of deal. It has to be a big deal to bring him in for him to even say, "I'm going to do this."
Well, like 46 million. I mean,
right, 46 million. Yeah.
Right. Well, and let's break this down even a little bit more. So it's 23 million a piece. that number, if you work out the share numbers, the share sale was $22.7 million on CIG UK Limited. So you double that, that's 46 approximately. Yep. So that means the math all works out for this. I think that's pretty clear. $46 million is obligated to change hands at some point. I just don't think it changed hands on May 23rd, 2018. It seems to me, if I were Indus and if I were a big shot billionaire guy and I was hiring Dan Offner to oversee this, I'd say, what's it going to take to get you to the end of 2018 or get you to CitizenCon? Okay, and clear off your Coots loan and pay off your matchmaker. What's it going to take? Okay, here's that. Here, you can have that. There you go. Now, you hit these milestones at the end of 2018. If you get a good take at CitizenCon and you hit these milestones at 2018, come to us in January 2019, you get your next tranche. So maybe they gave them $5 million or $6 million or whatever the first go around. Here at the end of 2019, great. Now let's work on that Crytek lawsuit. You won the motion to dismiss. Good job. What's it going to take to get Crytek out of here? Because then we take this big uncertainty hanging over our heads and we eliminate that. We take this big contingent liability and we get rid of it. Good. You hit another milestone. Have another cookie. Here's another 5 or 10 or whatever it is $1 million. Great. Finish developing Squadron 42. Sell your packages. Do whatever it is you need to do to get operating money. At the end of 2019, whatever it is, if you're out of alpha, here's another $5 million. Now we're talking marketing. You're into beta now. Here's 20. Go buy commercials. Go buy print ads. Go buy internet pop-up windows. Whatever it is you're going to do. Here's the big slug of money. Here's the rest of the $46 million. Plaster it everywhere. If you hit that milestone at the end of 2019 and you've got a working product and it's in beta and people are digging it, here's your payoff. Here you go, Sandy.
Here's one reason why I don't think that's what they did.
All right.
The UK laws are very, very strict. If they sold N number of shares for X dollars and they file those papers like they did in May, and then come September, it doesn't add up, somebody's going to prison.
Okay.
So
prison's a good argument. I like prison.
Yeah, there's no way they would have, because that's money laundering right there. Because there's no way they could have said we've sold 10% of this company, we generated these shares, these are the investors. Then come September when they want to file for 2018, the money's not on their books. That's a huge problem.
Okay. All right. Well, then let me ask this question.
If they were going to do piecemeal, I mean, the way these numbers are all so odd, as we've agreed,
yeah,
they could have done the same thing. They could have just said, okay, fine, we'll do 2% now. Here's the money. We'll do 2%. Then here's the money. I mean, I know that because I did those deals when I bought a company called Quest Online with Algonon. I did it over time. I didn't do it all at once because it was a lot of money. So you do it piece by piece, and you get that. You give them that money, you get the piece, and then you say you're going to close it over 6 months, and over 6 months, it's all done. That's what they would have done. They wouldn't have put that 10% there and all this money, and then they don't have the money in their books. It would be a huge problem.
Okay, I like this explanation.
And I don't think Simon Elms would have gone for that, because
he would be the one going to prison.
Well, forget about that. Forget about Chris. Forget about Aaron. Forget about Ortwin. It'll be Simon signing off on it. It'll be the registered accountants who have to audit the books signing off on it.
Right.
Then you have Dan Offner, who's now a director, and Klein, also director. Those 4 guys are all now liable for anything dodgy on the books.
Okay. All right. So
because all the directors have full liability.
Sure. Yes. It's you are responsible, and that's why you have directors and officers insurance, which is very expensive. But so if the idea is that an actual slug of money did in fact change hands right then, and again, this is UK stuff, right? In the United States, I'm in the United States. I'm not so sure your LLC would be quite so strict, because you don't have to file anything in your LLC.
That's
you
correct.
could have that cash could have changed hands. $23 million changed hands in England, comply with all their laws and stuff.
But
nothing changed.
But you have a problem with the SEC.
No, you don't, because this is not a public registered company.
Even though it's not a public registered company, you still have to file paperwork with the SEC for any money raised.
Well,
you do. I had to file. Quest Online is not, Quest Online is not a public company,
yes.
but we had to file SEC paperwork, for money that I put into it.
Right. So because you were selling a security,
correct.
It is a security. So
correct.
If let's say the money all changed hands, it's supposedly for marketing Squadron 42.
That's rubbish. Let's move on.
All right. You're basically saying
you want me to elaborate on that?
No. Well, I mean, please do. Go for it.
It's a complete lie. I'll tell you why.
A lie. All right. Tell me why.
I'll tell you why. First of all, they were looking for investors around the end of 2017.
I buy that. Yeah.
When we didn't know that what we know now, that Squadron 42 was in 2017 was 3.5 years away to beta. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And then they closed this deal May 2018.
Yeah.
And Squadron 42 is still 1.5 years away to beta. So let me ask you this: if you're burning through about 19% more than you're making every month, as by the financials, and why would you raise $46 million to market a product that's 3 years away?
That's a fantastic question. I really don't have an answer for you at all.
You wouldn't.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense because it's not like it's not like you're going to raise the money, give investors part of your company, and then have the money sitting somewhere doing nothing when you're actually burning that amount of money every month.
I was just taking them at their word. I was just believing them.
Chris lies all the time.
But I want to believe, Derek.
The reason why they did this, I'll tell you exactly why they did this. And I just did a huge thread on Twitter this evening before this broadcast. It's pretty long. I'll give you the link later on. The reason, and that thread goes through every single thing Chris has said regarding the project, the schedule, and the money. The reason he fashioned and framed this as marketing is very simple. He does not want the backers to know that or the world to know that in addition to the money he's received from them for the development, which is burning through, to say that was still not enough.
Right.
And I had to go and get additional money to finish this game it's a bad look.
Oh yeah.
It's a very bad look. But if you say it's for marketing and you have a bunch of clowns who chew everything up, who are not thinking, wait a minute, why would you be raising $46 million? Nobody raises. First of all, who thinks they're going to listen? $46 million is what they spend a whole year. Why would they spend a whole year worth of funding on marketing for one product where most of the people who would have that product are already entitled to it, and you don't need to market it to them anymore?
Let's break that down just a little bit. There's some analysis, contention, supposition that there is in fact still a market out there, an untapped market out there for Squadron 42.
Possible.
People like me, people that came in 2012, 2013, we got the full package. I'm going to get Squadron 42 because I backed back then. When the split happened in 2015, 2014, when did that happen? I can't remember.
It's 2016.
2016 is when they split it, so you no longer. There's a Squadron 42 is a separate product from
Star Citizen.
Star Citizen. So prior to that, everybody's entitled to the whole deal.
Correct.
So there's an argument there that there's still an untapped.
Yeah, of course
with that. So it's not out of the question that a good marketing slug there at the end might get those people to come on board. The argument on the other side of that, of course, is, well, you just have to send them an email because you don't really need to buy any advertisement when you've already got their email address going. How much does that cost?
And you certainly will. But the other thing is, it's a huge red flag. If you look at if you remember, they always said they were never going to spend money on marketing or promos and all this nonsense. But you see exactly. You see the graphs in the finances. Now think about it. If you look at the amount of money they spent on promos and marketing and all this nonsense, it's not even 10% of the yearly budget.
Right.
Okay. But so why would they all of a sudden spend $46 million marketing a $45 product that's, at the time they started looking for money, was 3.5 years away? They knew it was three. Here's the problem.
They knew it.
They knew it was 3.5 years away. Backers didn't know that. I knew that because I wrote a blog saying, hey, my sources tell me this project goes over to 2021. So they knew in 2017 Squadron 42 was 3.5 years away. Why would you try to why would you try to raise $46 million in marketing for a product that's 3.5 years away? It makes absolutely no sense. It has nothing to do with marketing.
All right. Well, like I said, that's what they say. I'm going to go ahead and at least
give them benefit of the doubt.
I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt on this one because they seem to have they've sort of brought the ship in a little bit. I mean, just from the outside looking in, it seems they've brought the ship in. If you're correct, and I've got no reason to disbelieve you, that they're burning through about $4 million a month, then a $46 million investment that they got in a big lump sum right in May would be a year's worth of operating costs right there. And then whatever they raise in CitizenCon and pledges and subscriptions throughout the year, it seems like they can sail through. Inertia itself will drag them over the finish line at this point. It seems to me. I mean, I don't know if you agree or not. I mean,
I agree, but the thing is that the risk they took by doing this is that they already had few whales who still give them money.
Right.
Those guys are true believers, but even true believers aren't stupid. Those true believers have got to be thinking right now, oh my God, what's going on?
Sure.
Why do I need to keep putting money into this? It's still a year and a half away, blah, blah, blah. So they've taken a risk there by this whole thing blowing up and saying we've taken money. So let's make it a marketing thing. And now I've already seen people doing this crazy math. Well, they've got $46 million. They're making 3, 4, 5, 6. They're going to go for another 7 years. No, the problem here is people keep forgetting. Very, very important. You have taxes on top of all this money thing you're spending, and even though the financials that Simon did is not there's not certified financials, it's not financials you send to a bank to get money. It's just numbers and graphs for the backer's benefit.
Yeah.
You still
Speaking
don't
of marketing,
know. Yeah.
Speaking
you
of
still
marketing,
don't know.
this is a marketing brochure.
It is.
The thing that Simon put out is a marketing. Let's be clear about that too. This is a marketing. This is not GAAP. This is not generally accepted accounting principles accounting.
Nope.
This is the brochure for the Ford Mustang. Okay,
it
tells you 315 horsepower and 23 miles to the gallon, but you're not going to go out onto the lot with voltmeters and a dynamometer or whatever the hell it is you test horsepower with.
I'll do one better. Notice in all the filings, there's nowhere where Simon ever said anything was cash basis. That's the first red flag. Nothing in there was cash basis to start off with, and there's no balance sheet. So you have no idea.
Hang on, let me double check that right at the beginning here.
There's no balance.
Okay, you're right.
No
Cost accounting basis. You're correct. It's not a cash basis. It's a cost accounting basis. Because Derek, what's the difference between a cash basis and a cost accounting basis?
Well, cash basis is actual cash on hand and cash going out.
Yeah.
Cost accounting means you're speculating. It's like speculating a gold rush.
It's like you're saying, well, we
Prospecting.
decided, prospecting. It's like we decided I'm CIG and you're Indus, and we have gotten together and we've decided that I need $46 million to drag this thing over the finish line. You agree that I need $46 million to drag this thing over the finish line. I say I'm not parting with more than 10% of your company, my company. You say, okay, that's fine. We do the math on the back of the envelope, and that turns out to mean, oh, well, our company's worth $490 million. And you say, yeah, that's about right. And I say, yeah, that's about right. And we turn to the accountant and we say, make that happen. And he goes, I like getting fees. Yes, sir.
Yep.
And then he goes and writes it.
That's basically it.
That's it. That is it.
And you use the right term there. It really is a marketing brochure. I mean, because there's no way this is why that 46 million. But here's the thing, though. For all this time, I've been saying, they're really burning through too much cash. They really can't finish this product. Blah blah blah. But now we're at the point where all of a sudden it makes sense that $46 million really isn't that much money. And we still don't know what they've burned through from May when they got it to December.
Yeah.
We don't know. And we wouldn't know any of this until September 2019.
Right. And let's take that apart a little bit too. That $46 million, if it got given to them in a lump sum, which I'm hearing about jail thing, but well, okay, let's say that happened. $46 million came in. Now some of that was going to be used to catch up whatever they were in arrears with. If the coats on them maybe still outstanding, maybe some outstanding invoices or something, some people needed to get paid off. Whatever the share redemption was on that Urlock, if that had to get paid off, whatever the fee that Infotrade was going to take off the top for their matchmaking services, whatever, that bridge loan, that was going to be an expense. So some of that $46 million evaporated as soon as the deal was closed. The transaction cost had to be paid.
That's correct.
So that's a big chunk. That's a big chunk. Well, some chunk was taken out of that. And so that's whatever's left. And so, yeah, I think it's enough. It seems to me, back of the envelope calculating, and plus what they can expect to get off of CitizenCon and pledge sales, seems to me like they've got enough in the tank to drag it over the finish line. If they're gonna, if Squadron 42 is supposed to come out Q3 2020, it seems like they got enough to get there. I think, is that a takeaway we can rely on? Do you think?
I don't know. You know why I don't know? Because I really think with what happened now in December 2018. I'm a little skeptical that the same backer whales who've been giving them money all this time, I think they're going to see that the tank is going to start looking a little bit dodgy in 2019.
Let's cover that for a second, because Mr. Offner tweeted an interesting thing just the other day.
The equity funding thing?
Equity crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Because if the whales still have any belief, any faith left, they don't want to buy internet spaceships anymore, Derek. They want a piece of this action. They want to own a bit of the company, and CIG will send you a certificate suitable for framing, frame not included. Walmart has them for $2.99 a piece. You can grab them there, but they'll send you a certificate suitable for framing that you own a share of Star Citizen, and it's something you can hang over your fireplace in your den. So the equity crowdfunding, we covered it on our show. It's like buying shares, but shares light. It's a special regulation that's relatively new, where it's less than an IPO, initial public offering, and it's a little bit more robust than a private placement, which is what this Indus thing in Urlock and Infotrade was. So this is a way that they can do another round of funding from the Star Citizen backers. You don't get a ship this time, but you get a piece of the company.
You know why they can't do it? You know why they can't do it?
Why not?
Because part of the Jobs Act means it generates paperwork. That paperwork becomes public because it has to go through the SEC. Mm-hmm. And it also means that even though you don't need accredited investors, the guys who make the accredited investors, the guys who make $1 million a year, well, who have $1 million in assets,
or $250 a year,
or $250. Well, I think it's $20,000 a year.
Something like that.
It's a lot of paperwork, so I don't see CIG doing it because it comes with a lot of accountability. And those shares, also remember, they've now sold shares at what, 148.63 or something?
Yeah, pounds.
Well, think about this. There's no way the existing shareholders are going to let their shares be diluted anymore.
They don't have to.
But yeah, I'm coming to that.
Okay, all right.
Even if they left those where they are, and they try to sell the pre-subdivided shares that currently have the 1 million or whatever they have. The problem is, even with the Jobs Act, with this equity crowdfunding, they still have to generate shares that are what's the word I'm looking for, that are in synergy. You cannot have different class of shares.
So here's another theory. Maybe that's where Urlock comes in.
In what capacity?
Urlock is a shareholder of CIG, but they would be able to that entity would be able to sell shares of itself.
Except you can't do it. The shareholders can't do it. Only the entity doing the crowdfunding can sell those shares.
Right, but
you can sell your shares privately if you wanted to. That's your problem.
Right, but that could be like the bank. Urlock could be the bank. The company CIG could take those back from Urlock. Like you said earlier, nobody's going to subdivide their shares anymore. Urlock's the bank for it. Urlock sells the shares back to CIG. CIG can then cut those up into tiny pieces and sell bits of those out there. It seems to me like this equity crowdfunding is the next step, because because like you're saying, this probably hurts some feelings among longtime backers of Star Citizen. I'm in this for the ride now, right? I mean,
I'm in it for the lols.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want a game someday. I mean, I'd really like to have a game someday, and I'd like it to resemble the one that I backed in 2013. I would. That would be my ideal. I mean,
good luck with that.
I'm hanging on to my optimism, Derek. I want to believe. but if the point is that if I get a game someday, that's great. But I'm in it for the ride, and but some people, like you said, look at this as maybe breaking some faith a little bit.
Yeah.
And a way to maybe earn that back is, well, I'm not going to sell you any more spaceships, backers. You want a piece of the dream? This is a way that you can have a piece of the dream. And another round, more funding comes in, and it's not spaceships anymore.
The other problem I see with that is, with the spaceships, it's recurring revenue repeatedly. You cannot sell shares that way, because somebody's not going to buy 5 shares today and buy 10 shares next month and 15 shares tomorrow. They're not going to buy 20 shares today and buy 10 spaceships next week. So if they go that route, it's going to burn them really bad, because they've already got a whale milking formula that works. It might not work the same way in 2019, given what's happened now, but it's still got potential. If they even think of starting to sell shares, I think it's going to disrupt the thing they've got going with their JPEGs. That's what I think. No, seriously, I think it'll disrupt it.
Perfect. That's a perfectly legitimate point of view. I still think equity crowd is a way they're going to do it, because Offner liked my tweet.
I don't think they're going to be around that long.
You don't think so? Well, that's just I think they've got enough to drag it over the finish. You're still a little skeptical on that, but I see your point. I mean, I see your point. All right. So, what else have we got here? Covered the fact that the financials aren't really financials; they're marketing tools. We got the lawsuit payoff, operating funds. We did the tranche payments. I think you and I are very efficient, sir, because I thought we'd be at this for 2 or 3 hours, but here we are, like an hour and a half into it, and we've gone through my list. What else do you want to talk about? I'll turn the floor over to you.
No, I mean, I pretty much said everything. I mean, today, basically what I was saying, I was a little bit surprised that the culmination of events this past week pretty much solidifies a bunch of things that I've been writing about for 3.5 years.
Sure.
The project itself, remember when I wrote in 2015 saying that, I don't believe they could ever build this game for less than $150 million, and would need a good team and a good engine. Well, now we're at $211 million plus $46 million, and there's still no game. That was 3.5 years ago.
I remember the 2015 thing, because you and I exchanged some correspondence.
Oh yeah. I never expected it would happen. And then the financials today, again, around the end of 2015, I wrote a blog when, some sources told myself in The Escapist that, they were burning through so much money that they don't even have enough money for 90 days. We've seen the financials that, if if whales weren't still giving them money based on lies, they would have folded in March 2016. So that was the 90 days right there. And of course, the other thing is, which, to be honest with you, I was really shocked that even though I wrote back in October 2017 when since 2016 actually, sources told me that Squadron 42 was nowhere near anything Chris was talking about.
Mm.
And I pulled up all the interviews he had done, the one with Game from August 2017 at Gamescom, where he was saying they played all the Squadron 42 missions and blah blah blah. And sources told me he made all that crap up. I wrote that blog, and then I wrote and said that when they started doing the schedule, I wrote and said this schedule is all nonsense. That my sources told me that the internal dev schedule goes all the way to 2021, and I'd actually seen it.
Mhm.
So,
Oh.
and I wrote that in October 2017, and I put all the links on Twitter today in my thread. So imagine my surprise when I see the Squadron 42 schedule for the first time, and they're saying we're going to be in beta Q2 2019. 2020. I couldn't believe it. I actually thought it was a typo when I saw it. No, I really thought it was a typo. I clicked on it because it has two things on the top right. I said, this has to be a typo. Then all of a sudden it wasn't. I'm like, hang on a second. So we're now talking about this game, which was, Answer the Call 2015, 2016, 2017. When I wrote, oh, by the way, when I wrote that blog saying they were making all this crap up, it wasn't true. They actually issued, again, they did the same thing. They issued a press release to PC Gamer saying that they not get the Squadron 42 schedule is the Squadron 42 is still on schedule. Don't listen to Derek Smart. I mean, I have the PC Gamer link. This was in 2017.
Just last week, Ken Shadow was saying that what he heard was that Squadron 42 missions were all playable. I mean,
Yeah.
like they were this close. But then the schedule comes out and it's like, this is 20% done. This chapter's 40% done. This chapter's.
And I pulled up two links today. One interview by Chris, one by Ben Lesnick, where he was saying a guy named Tyler in QA had played through all the missions in QA. I mean, it's been one lie after the other. And again, the biggest thing for me, not that any of this surprises me, the biggest shocker to me is the money thing. I really didn't expect that they were truly fly by wire.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
imagine if one sale had gone sideways.
Yeah.
This would have been over since 2016.
Yeah. Lucky for them.
It's just when I look at those numbers, even though we know it's a marketing brochure, when I looked at that today, I just could not believe it.
It's got some basis in fact, and when I look at this, if you kind of poke around some of the equity crowdfunding areas and stuff, it seems like their format and their colors and what they focus on and their cost accounting and all kind of stuff, it seems like this is the sort of thing that you show people as the brochure to get them in the door, and then you give them the actual disclosures, which is another reason why I'm thinking that this is prep for equity crowdfunding, because
like a prospectus of sorts.
Yeah, exactly. Well, prospectus.
This
is prospectus light. Okay, like this is the Ford Mustang brochure, like I said. Yeah. So I mean, this is you get them in the door with this. You say, look, here we are. This is the trajectory. Nothing here should surprise you if you followed the history of Star Citizen, right? The numbers should all sort of line up, right? Like it's very smooth. And those of us who have sort of been around for a little while in law and finance know that the word smooth is a red flag.
Yep.
If things are smooth, it means sometimes they've been smoothed. And and again, I believe that these numbers that Simon signed off on have a basis in reality. It's just what filter have they looked?
Correct.
And what has been, sort of moved around a little bit to even things out.
To smooth it out.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like, I mean, facts are facts. They've got several hundred employees that appear to be getting paychecks every month. Right. Work is proceeding at pace. Patches get released. Ship art comes out. Buildings go, get decorated. I mean, stuff's happening, right? I mean, it's not like it's not being flushed down a toilet.
Yep.
Some of it may be getting flushed down a toilet. But there's something's happening. I mean, things are being worked on. It seems like they've convinced people who are very sharp about such things that this is a real project worth investing in, and that there's a better than even chance of them making money off of it.
Making money out of it. Did you notice also in the financials that about 50% of the revenue of the money was going to the executives?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Where do you see that? Because I don't follow.
It's gonna. I don't have it up, so I really can't pull it up. If you
I
take a
do.
look, there's a line. I don't have it. Let me see if I pull it up.
Trading costs is what you tweeted a picture of an image.
Let me see. Let me see if I can pull it up quickly. Yeah, let me see if I can pull that JPEG up if I still have it on. If I have Twitter here, because TweetDeck is.
You focused on the trading costs section, which is probably like maybe the second or third graph chart, whatever.
Let's see if I have it here. Nope, that's not. It's not that one.
For the folks at home, I'll make some good radio while Derek's looking. The trading cost is about the second chart down. It's full of red numbers, which typically in finance is bad, but these are all costs. You'd want to see the red numbers there. This is where you'd expect to see them. And the first chunk of it is salaries and related on costs, excluding community events and marketing. This is where you would have your pay section. And then there's also overhead and general and admin. And so these are the three categories where you might expect to see executive compensation. So
Troy, let me see if I can put. Let me see, Tony. Let me see.
No,
if I can,
yeah. Oh, there it was. There's the Troy. There's the Troy.
Stand by. Let me see if I can put this on Discord. If this is the one you're looking at, is that the one you're looking at?
No. See. So I bet I can screen share. Hang on. Let me see if I can do that. Can I screen share? See if you can throw it up there. Oh, yeah, I didn't see that. Okay, yeah. Throw it up on Twitch. Where did that come from? All right, well, hold on. So again, for good radio purposes, this looks more like a Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, that Derek posted that in the Twitch chat for us. Yeah,
okay, if you look at the line where it says management, Chris Roberts et al., if you see it's $2 million a month. Sorry, $2 million a month. Go to the top of the chart here, or let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Which one were you looking at, Tony?
So on this is on. I'm looking at the CIG financials that they released online. The one that's on their website.
You know what? Let me just go to their website. It's probably quicker. I have a link here. Give me a second.
Here, I can pull this down, Tony.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pull it down.
Yeah,
we're not making good radio here.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
While we have a break, while you guys are looking at that, can I talk about chat a little bit?
Yeah.
Yes, go right ahead.
I've got some guys that have been posting a couple of things, and I've been making notes for them. So some of it's not really topical for where we are in the conversation at this point, but I want to make sure.
Why be formal? Why be formal? Go wherever we want to go.
So give me just a second here.
Well, should I just hum the girl from Ipanema for a while?
No, actually, Fetus Maximus says he is pontificating upon the merest possibility that all of this may be speculation. I think he's got a point there.
No. With solid reporting and 100% accurate and true, this is not a couple of guys hanging on the internet on Thursday night, sir. I am not in a sweater with space patches on it, sir.
He's a lawyer. He's a serious type.
That's right. I'm serious. These are not space patches and things, sir.
Jones something says he's talked to a lot of people, and everybody seems to think in his group that they're gonna have an IPO next year.
Oh, please.
I find that no. But my position is it's going to be an equity crowdfunding, which is an IPO light. It shares some characteristics with the initial public offering, but it's not targeted for like a broader market like a NASDAQ or a Amex type thing. It's a narrow slice because you have a investor base already targeted. There's a company called FIG that they do, and we covered this on our show a few weeks ago for Starflight 3. It's a company that is more like a matchmaking company for games or other projects for interested investors that do this equity crowdfunding. So IPO light, I think, is what we're going to see. Derek disagrees with me.
Can I do a couple of more for you? I'm sorry, you wanted to answer that. I'm sorry.
No. I was just saying. I was trying to pull it up on the website for some reason. I don't see it there. But anyway, if you take a look at the image I just pulled up for you, you won't find it on the website for some reason. I still can't pull it up right now. But if you take a look at what I just posted in chat, Tony, if you go down,
the gold. It's the Henry. It's the gold. It's got the it's a spreadsheet with like the gold highlights.
It's a different one.
Yes,
if you look in our Twitch chat, he posted
let me see
image in the Twitter chat.
Put it in Twitch, not in
Twitch.
In Discord.
I'm sorry, Discord.
No,
Discord.
it's in Discord.
I put up the one that Derek posted in Discord.
Yeah,
it's in Discord.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So if you look,
see that.
Yeah, if you look on there, what actually caught my attention is forget about the loans that the negative $4 million Coots loan over there.
Right.
If you scroll down, you see management, Chris Roberts et al. That's 2012. That's $1 million.
Oh,
so he spent $1 million. Remember, this whole thing started in October. So October, November, December, they paid themselves $1 million. Yeah. And
where'd you get this? Where'd this come from?
Ooh, we crunch numbers. If you look,
okay.
If you look at 2013, that's 3.25 million, 7.5 million, 7.75, blah blah blah. So basically, most of the money they're burning through each month goes towards paying executives.
Let's
hang on. It's right there. I'm looking at it.
I see where you got it, but I'm also aware that there have been many attempts, some more successful than others, to back calculate where things go, and this is one of these attempts.
No, it's not. These are the actual numbers.
From where?
Hang on. Let me see if I can pull up the link. Give me 1 second. Let me just. Let me just pull this up. Hang on.
It's very thorough, and even in the footnotes here, the good stuff is always in the footnotes. They say that there's a degree of certainty or uncertainty in the numbers, and some of these are shaded darker, meaning more uncertainty. So this is an attempt to impute from publicly available information where things got spent.
Hang on.
We'll let Derek find the source. All right. This is Tony, the attorney, evaluating all the source in real time.
Hang on.
Skeptical.
Hang on.
Counselor, where are you getting this, Counselor? Counselor,
you're gonna love this.
All
hang
right.
on.
I'm waiting. That's fine. It's good. Derek, keep looking. Henry, give us another question from the chat.
There's a post from looks like Prime Jonas SC. He wants to know if they used the same calculator to figure out how much the game would cost that they used to calculate the release date. He said for Line of Defense. I'm sorry, I thought he was asking.
Sick burn.
I missed that.
Sick burn, Line of Defense.
Sick burn.
Sick Line of Defense. Sick Line of Defense burn.
Yeah, those guys
burn.
Those guys, they're never gonna give that up.
They're never gonna give that up, are they?
No,
they're never gonna let you down. They're never gonna run around.
Imagine if I took $250 million or $211 million to make a game and I don't make it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I had another one from the same listener that says, "Why didn't Crytek bring the facts on the lawsuit the first 2 tries? Why do they need another attempt to bring that?"
So part of it, in my view, is the difficulty that everybody that knows everything is on the other side now. But the other part of it is we talked about it a little bit earlier, is that when you don't want to hamstring yourself when you bring your first complaint, right? You want it to be as broad and as open as possible. And the federal rules that we're talking about, because it's the federal case, you only have to give people what's called notice pleading. You just got to give people sort of a general idea of what your problem is, what your beef is. Later on, once you get past the initial pleading stage, you go to discovery. People trade information and files and documents and subpoenas and depositions. Then you get down to where the actual factual differences are. We're in the
and if the judge gives you a hint as well. In her pleadings.
Yeah. So part of what this whole motion to dismiss thing and amending complaints and stuff like that is that the parties are saying we're going to narrow down the issues. So Crytek says, "Oh, you did all these bad things, CIG," and the CIGC says, "Even if that's true, you can't sue us for it because of these reasons." And then you start narrowing things down. And that's why, and the judge is going, you kind of have a point, CIG, but Crytek could change some things and still get it in. And so that's what this sort of horse trading is about. We're at the end of that horse trading stage.
Yeah, I can't find this now. I'm going to have to shoot off to you later on. But anyway,
That's okay.
But go ahead.
I don't think it's.
Well, these are
out of
all
the realm of
numbers.
possibility.
These are all numbers from their own financials. Just so you know.
I don't find it out of the realm of possibility that Chris, Ortwin, and Aaron think that they're worth collectively $2 million a year from the UK financials.
Don't forget Sandy.
Well, she's not listed as an executive though, but she probably takes down a pretty hefty.
But she's a vice president of marketing. I mean, that's an exec level.
That's not C-level, man. That ain't C-level. That ain't C-level, bro. No way, man.
She's married to Chris Roberts. Well, so then, you know,
I don't want to get into too much into the weeds of that, but just some facts we do know is that in the UK financial, Aaron's salary is disclosed, and I believe around £200,000 a year, which would translate roughly to $250, $270.
He's the highest paid director in the entire Manchester area.
Yeah, so
I checked.
Yeah, so Aaron owns 5% of the company, so him taking home 10% of the executive compensation is not out of whack. You know, he shows up every week. And
you are aware that he sold his Final 42 shares back to the company and took the money out about a year ago, right? Yeah.
Okay. So. Yeah. There's some evidence for that in the publicly disclosed record, because Foundry 42 was originally Aaron, a guy named Derek Sr., and I think Nick Elms.
Yep.
And those guys sold their shares
and moved on.
Well, Derek Sr. moved on, but Nick is still there, and so is Aaron. But
no, Derek is still there, but I mean moved on from the position.
Oh, right. Well, so what they did was they sold out to CIG UK.
Possibly.
And no, they did, because there's share disclosure that has Nick going to zero. Aaron going to zero, and Derek going to zero. Derek Senior going to zero.
Yep.
UK is the successor owner of those shares, so it's the share transfer definitely happened. How much they were paid for that, I do not know. Although I imagine they did not give them up for free.
It was £485,000 in total.
I didn't see that particular. Is that one of the filing?
Yeah, it's in the filing. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So there you go.
It's about £485,000 between Eric,
between
the three of them that sold out their shares. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So that's cash that left the company. Right?
Yep.
So that's cash. That's £485,000 worth of crowdfunding money that
gone
out the door.
Yep.
So I don't find $2 million a year in executive compensation to be out of line.
For a crowdfunding project.
I'm not commenting on the fairness or the equity of that. I'm just talking about the factual possibility of them being paid $2 million a year as a group. I don't find that out of whack. It seems plausible to me.
For a crowdfunding company?
Again, I'm just saying factually it's plausible that as a group are being paid that much. Whether that's fair or not,
I'll do you one better. If the executives were being paid so much money when they should be going slim and mean and slim to ship a product, they would not be upside down.
They would certainly have more money in the bank if they weren't taking so much money out of the bank.
That's correct.
That is true.
That's basically it.
This logic is unassailable in my view. But you know, the backers gave Chris the money with literally no strings attached.
No strings attached. He can do what he wants to do with it.
The minimum amount of strings required by the FTC to avoid fraud. I mean, that's the only.
That's why you guys. That's why you guys still have no game.
We have no game, Derek. We
have. Yeah, we have.
All of us would just love to have a game, but we.
I know. I don't think we're ever gonna get that game, man.
I still. Like I said, it's a difference between you and I. I think that this round of funding might have. I think they've got enough maybe to drag it over.
Well, let me ask you a question then. I'll ask you one question, Mister, the eternal optimist.
Eternal optimist. That's right.
What makes you? Well, of all the schedules they've missed, what gives you the hope that Squadron 42 is definitely, for sure, certainly going to be in beta Q2 2020?
I don't. I have no guarantees of that whatsoever. As a matter of fact,
18 months away.
As a matter of fact, we here at the Guard Frequency routinely add 60 to 90 days to any deadline CIG gives us.
And again, big laugh.
and a big
And a
laugh.
big laugh.
Belly laugh. We enjoy those days.
We enjoy those. But I mean, so Q3 2020, Christmas 2020. I think that the odds
Probably
go up.
Christmas 2020. Yeah.
The odds go up statistically significantly. Christmas 2020, I think, maybe we see Squadron 42. Christmas 2020, sure. But I think for me, I think the real question, the one that's going to determine this, is that are these new investors going to bring finally the discipline,
Accountability? They're
the
not.
accountability?
They're not. You know why?
Why?
Chris still controls the company. Dan is only
On
there
paper.
Danny, this is true. Danny's only there, as they said, to oversee, the $46 million investment. I don't see how anybody under the can rein Chris in. I don't see it. I mean, it's one of those things where we're not talking about a publisher. We're talking about investors. Investors tend to be hands-off kind of guys. Also, imagine this.
Sometimes.
They've given you $46 million. What's the worst they could do? There's no way Dan is going to take that money back. He doesn't have the power to do it. They're not going to sue Chris. There's nothing to sue him for. All they can do is complain, bitch, and moan, and make it less likely that he ever asked him for any more money. But Dan basically has no power to control anything at all. Not the project, not the company.
Have you seen the share purchase agreement?
This is true. I have not. Good
I
point.
have not either.
You're the attorney. Very good point. Very good point.
You can put a lot of terrible, terrible things in a share purchase agreement.
Especially if you're desperate for the money, you just sign it.
Especially if you're desperate for the money and
Good
you
one.
just
Good
got
point.
it.
Good point.
So
Very good
unless
point.
and until I see the share purchase agreement, I believe, speculation, I believe that Mr. Offner and the Calders have a lot more control than perhaps their 10% on paper stake might lead a disinterested observer to believe.
I'll be honest with you. As I said on Twitter all week. I mean, I hope that Dan brings some sort of accountability and make sure the project. I mean, he's not just the money guy. He's a developer guy. He thinks like that. He's worked with developers.
He's a startup guy.
He knows the business. He knows the warning signs. So, but the problem is, in all the years I've been doing this, it's very, very difficult to save a project that's on the rocks. And, I know a lot of people, well, some people wouldn't agree with me when I say this. I don't believe this project can be saved as long as Chris Roberts is there. That's just the way I see it.
And
it's very, very difficult.
I want to say I don't disagree with you. I believe that Chris Roberts in a management position is one of the serious impediments to finishing. Chris Roberts in a creative position, I think, is one of the great benefits of this project because he's a salesman. He can get people whipped up and excited about it. I mean, I think if he can let go of the management side a little bit and just focus on getting the stuff done, that might be a formula for saving it.
I believe if Chris were to step aside today, let's say we don't know he's already stepped aside. He's just for the optics, for the backers, because he's the one that gave money to. Chris moves away, the whole thing dies. Nobody's going to give money. Right. Let's just say for optics' sake, he's like a dictator in a banana republic. He's just there for a fixture, right?
Right.
And Aaron takes the reins, and I personally believe that at the worst case scenario, we'll see something called Squadron 42 get released someday. Star Citizen's a lost cause. I don't know where they're going to go with that. But if Chris were either he left or he's just sidelined somehow, and Aaron took over the reins, I personally believe that we will see, at the very least, Squadron 42, specifically because it's got a specific focus. It doesn't have all the aggravation of networking. It doesn't have the aggravation of a whole bunch of the performance issues that Star Citizen has.
Balancing an economy, selling and renting ships.
All that nonsense. It's a fixed focus game.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is they still don't have the engine. If you look at the Squadron 42 roadmap map, and look at the Star Citizen roadmap, you'll see all the overlaps. Without that engine, Squadron 42 is still not happening. Forget about network. Forget about, I mean, right now he's trying to hire people for AI, for a project that's 18 months away. I've done AI for 30 years. I can tell you right now, there's no way you're going to bring anybody into this project right now to do AI and get any meaningful results in 18 months. It's just not happening.
I've been playing Elite Dangerous for 3 to 4 years now, and they still tweak the AI. I mean,
I rest my case. It's
never get it right.
A very tough call.
Yeah, it's very tough.
If they had an engine, if they had finished the engine and they hadn't even switched to Lumberyard, they would have had a very good shot, again, with Chris sidelined, Aaron there, and Tony Zurevec and all those guys who have a history of developing games. I believe Squadron 42 has a very, very good shot. But as long as Chris is there calling the shots, I don't care. Well, again, I haven't seen the share purchase agreement, but hopefully Dan has some influence. And at the very least, we get Squadron 42. But here's the thing: unfortunately for them, the double-edged sword is, it's not Squadron 42 that gave them all this money. It's Squadron 42. Squadron 42 is like you buying a collector's item DVD. You've got the movie, you've got the bonus disc.
I mean, and again, if you talk to the initial backers, they came in for Squadron 42, and Star Citizen was the collector's item bonus disc. I came in Squadron, as you say. I backed for Star Citizen, and Squadron 42 was the Wing Commander sequel. That's kind of cool. Like, that's great. We'll try that. Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on when people came in, to where those feelings are. But
The other thing I'm pissed about is I can't even bitch at them anymore, because back in 2015 when I hit them with that whole legal nonsense, I asked them for 3 things when I got my attorneys involved. I said, hey, just 3 things, and of course, as you know, Ortwin blew me off. I said, one. Refunds for backers who ask for it,
right?
A dev schedule,
right?
And financial accountability. Well, they started giving refunds, and they stopped December 2017. We now know why. They were burning through so much money, and they were about to get investors. So you're not going to be doing refunds. They've done, so they did it for a while. That's gone. The first dev schedule didn't show up till November 2016. So that's number 2. And then the financial accountability marketing brochure just showed up in December. So all the 3 things that I asked them for back in 2015, it's taken 3.5 years. It's all here, so I don't even know what I'm going to bitch at them for now. I mean, I'm totally bummed about that.
2 things. Number 1, I was sure Skype a little. It's me. Henry, you're still here and everything okay?
Yeah, I'm hearing you okay. My phone's dead, so the texts I was sending you have stopped.
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
So
I can hear all of you okay.
Okay, well, it might just be my end then. But the second thing is that it sounds to me like you, with your financial accountability letter, is like points. You asked for it years ago, and they finally decided to include it in their plan. They finally came around to your way of thinking.
Yep.
Did all these things. Yeah. So
so they've done all these 3 things. So now, I think for me, I already know about the project, the money, the schedule. So all we got to do now is just sit and wait and see what happens. I mean, it's this is for me. This is basically the Point Break, as it were. Everybody sees the financial accountability. They know how the money was spent. Even though it's not cash basis and there's no balance sheet, at least backers have an idea. Now they can make an informed decision whether or not they think it's a good idea to keep giving, CIG money.
Like I said, I try. I mean, we've sliced and diced this thing pretty well, but I mean, overall, to me, this is the sort of thing I wished I had seen from them a couple of years ago.
Yep. I asked for it 3.5 years ago. Remember, everybody was telling me, why do backers need that? They don't. And Ben Lesnick, who's now gone, no longer on the project, wrote an entire post on the website saying, it's too complex and backers wouldn't understand financials and all this nonsense. And here we are. It's broad daylight.
It's better late than never.
They could have done precisely, but like I said, they could have done this a long time ago. But the thing is, the question really is this: if they had done this say in 2016, would they have gotten all this money?
Who knows? It's just
I
you
mean,
wait
think
for your
about
angel
it.
to come.
If you release financials in 2016 and shows that you're burning through all this money year on year on year, and this huge risk of you not shipping anything. Remember, this was before 2.6, before 3.0, and they didn't have any of this huge milestone. No planetary tech, no PU, nothing at all. If they released these financials, I'm not convinced that they would have raised all this money at the time. So now that they've released it, now that they've released it, it's one of those things where, let's just release it. Let's see whether chip. I mean, they had no incentive to release it except that the investors, Dan may have insisted that this is something you guys promised. It's a liability that's hanging over us. Let's release it.
And to my way of thinking, it's a prelude crowdfunding round.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's a marketing brochure. We'll see.
We'll see. It's good.
I've been wrong before.
It makes them look not good. So I'm really surprised that the other thing is I'm not even going to give them credit because it had to take external investors giving them $46 million and Chris writing a bullshit letter for them to release the financials. So I'm going to attribute this to these investors. Whether or not it's true or not is irrelevant because they released it when they got more money. So it's easy to say, well, they only did this because the investors may have insisted because they had that liability. They promised backers they would tell them where the money went if they didn't ship the game on time.
It's true. Yeah. No, I mean it was something that's in the terms of service and that kind of stuff. I mean it was and that's also I think that this is going to be the prelude to a settlement with Crytek. There's going to be some aggressive talks now.
I think so.
They're clearing off any overhanging outsized potential liabilities that people can come in and sneak at them from behind.
Absolutely.
This is it's Festivus season, right? The airing of grievances and the feats of strength. I mean, I think these are the things that we're seeing. It's a Festivus miracle.
Yeah, well, let's not forget the fact that this happened in May 2018.
That's true. They saved
end of year.
They saved the Festivus miracle for Festivus. They planned it. They bought it in May, and then they're telling us they're giving us the Festivus miracle now.
I'm sure, as usual, Chris and his gang is still pissed at me because usually I always usurp their statements. I always leak something or release it before they even have the chance to get it out themselves. So this is just one more time. I never expected them to do this, by the way. I didn't expect them to issue a statement about the investment. I didn't expect them to release the financials at all. That this came on the back of my latest article and my noise and all this stuff, I was really surprised. I'm like,
usually they are pretty klutzy about this stuff. Usually they try to do something. They try to do something dumb and it hits them in the back of the head.
Or just ignore it.
Or just ignore it because they're just no. This again. They've been planning. I do believe that they've been planning this announcement for a while. This has the look and feel of a campaign that a public relations campaign that was actually planned out and thought about ahead of time and coordinated with somebody whose job it is to do this kind of thing. It's very surprising. Very surprising how well this has been executed.
But again, people don't know him, but from the guys I've spoken to and exchange messages with, Dan knows his stuff. So I'm just going to attribute all this to him. I mean, that's the one.
We've been burned before. We hoped Aaron would be the guy to impose the.
This is true.
Maybe fingers crossed. Maybe it's Dan Offner. So
yeah, I think so. I think so.
Well, when we first started, I imposed a hard cap of 2 hours, and we're creeping up on that right now. So we're doing pretty good. Let's maybe take if there's anything left in chat, Henry, that you had. Maybe we'll go out chat comment and call it good.
I have a couple of things here. Promesia Fuctifino, pardon the name, says that's the name, Fuctifino. Is it true that Ben, Alexis, and Disco Lando have been laid off?
I don't know about Disco Lando. I know he's taken 2 months off, which is kind of strange, but I do know Ben and Alexis no longer work for the company. I mean, they've been keeping that on the down low for a while. I don't know why but sources have told me unequivocally they no longer work for the company. I know Ben does the lore stuff, which I believe he gets paid either does for free or 1099 contractor. But Lando, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Lando would take 2 months off for a project that's late, but they also did the same thing when Ben was moving and Alexis moving from one coast to the other coast, it was the same thing, vacation or road trip, whatever. Next thing we know, they were gone. I don't know, but we'll see if Lando comes back. I mean, most of us are fond of him because he's like that, that doofus we always like to make fun of. He's an affable guy, and I think it'll be a great loss if he didn't come back. Because he's one of the all the other guys are just serious. It's all the developers, but he's the one guy who he's relatable. More so than Ben. So if Jared doesn't come back, I would be personally disappointed because I mean I like him. I mean I know I rip them up on Twitter all the time, but I genuinely like him, and I think
it's hard not to like a guy named Disco Lando.
this is true.
You have to work to not like a guy named.
I hope it comes back. If it doesn't come back, I think it'll be for the community side of things. I think it'll be a lot. Because he's a really nice guy, and I know a lot of backers like him, and he's funny, he's crazy, he's like the Star Citizen version of Baghdad Bob, which is why we like him because we know he knows that he doesn't believe half the crap he's selling, but he sells it, and he does a good job.
He does sometimes seem to break the fourth wall a little bit.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah. Yeah, but if it doesn't come back, I would miss him. But so far, I haven't heard anything laid off, anything on the. I do find that month or 2 month vacation kind of strange at this, especially at a time like this. So I would really miss him. So Jared, if you listen to this, please come back.
Come back, Disco. One more, Henry.
Okay. Well, this one's actually for both of you guys. I'm gonna put this question together myself. I had a couple of people in chat posting some specific instances of predictions that you guys have made, and there's too many to go through them. So what I'd like to say is
because we spout them with regularity.
They're wrong here. Some people are saying they're right here. How do you guys feel about your individual predictions you've made through Star Citizen and where you are right now, like predicting on the future? How do you feel your track record stands right now? You feel like
Tony, you go first.
Oh, sure, I'll go first. I believe with all my heart that I am 50-50. Like you could just flip a coin and maybe I'd be right and maybe I'd be. I have some particular reasons why I think the equity crowdfunding thing is coming down the road. I like, and we've gone over that ad nauseum here, but I that is a smart move, and I think that's going to happen. I'm willing to be wrong on that one, but I think I'm right. So rather than try to review my track record, I'm just talking on the internet about a space game. I don't really care that much if I'm right or wrong, except for the shits and giggles.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me.
That's how I feel about it myself. Yeah.
Well, for me,
Derek?
For me, the biggest thing that these guys, I mean, forget about the technical side of things. I mean, the big thing that these guys tend to always bring up is back in October, well, in 2015, when I said that when sources told me that the project had 90 days funding, now we see how that would have played out. They've always said, well, they're still here, and you said they're going to go away in 90 days. I mean, anybody who you were in finance, Tony. Anybody who knows anything about how finance works or how projects work, you work on analysis. The information changes over time, and the analysis back in 2015 was the people who left and who spoke to myself and Escapists said, look, they're burning through too much money, and they barely have 90 days worth of money left right now. We don't know how they're going to finish the project, and we took that around with it. Well, the unknown factor was, who would have thought that backers will still continue giving them money right through 2016, even though the PU wasn't out, Squadron 42 wasn't out, so these are unknown factors. But now you look at the financials, it's easy to see, oh my God, if we hadn't given them money, this would have been gone in Q1 2016.
Yeah,
so
it's hindsight maybe.
Some things are hit and miss. I mean, my prediction about the money, how much it would take to run the project has come through. The schedules has come through. I mean, there's so many things. For me right now, I don't know what. They're never going to release a finished Star Citizen. That's just not going to happen. It's going to remain our early access MVP. They're just going to keep adding things to it. But with Dan and the investors now in the picture, I'm about 80-20 confident that we'll see something called Squadron 42 by the end of 2020. But
right,
Star Citizen, I'm not even going to be concerned about because that's never going to be.
So take it to the bank. From me, you're going to see some sort of equity crowdfunding raise. From Derek, you're going to see a Squadron 42 by the end of 2020.
Yeah.
And Star Citizen, I think from both of us, I think Star Citizen is not looking so great as a real full-fledged universe. At least from where we sit now, it's
Agreed.
real iffy. It's really
iffy.
So take these three things.
Stuff to it. Yeah.
Yeah, take these three things and come check on us again at the end of 2019, and we'll see how we're doing. So take those three things. We'll see where. Hey, Derek, appreciate you coming on. It was really a pleasure to talk to you again. We had a lot of fun in that interview, and this was good too. So we're going to do it again, I'm sure. And thanks for everybody for taking some time out tonight. Henry, thanks for running the booth, and we'll see you guys again real soon. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Henry, thanks a lot. Everybody. Merry Christmas, everyone, and have a good night.
And I'll be stopping the stream as soon as it's awkward.
Make it awkward, real awkward.